These two cars are ticking time bombs, and if ignored, both will suffer from catastrophic damage. So we are going to avoid their fate by repairing them in this video. And make sure you'll stay till the end, because we are uncovering something that shouldn't work on a car that's set for 7 years. So we have a big problem with this master. The oil is vanishing mysteriously, and I don't know where, because it isn't dripping any oil and the car isn't smoky blue. So the thing is, we topped up the oil about 200 kilometers ago, and now I want to take a look how much oil is left in here. It has one of these. Cool, right? As you can see here, it has lost a few hundred milliliters of oil. We now know there's an issue. But fortunately, I might have an idea why this engine is behaving so mysteriously. So let's remove the intake plenum. But before, I decided it's a bad idea to disconnect the battery first. Okay, now we can go on with removing the intake. It's getting held in by 3 screws and a tube that goes to the throttle body. And out it goes. We are also restoring the headlights of this car in this video. Look at these headlights. They are foggy. Let's make them clear again. Therefore we need to sand them with different grit straps of sandpaper. Back to the engine repair. Next up, I want to remove all the bolts that hold in the intake manifold. There are 6 in total. Before we are able to remove the last one, I need to remove the throttle body from the intake. And now we remove the throttle cable. Away goes the throttle body and the missing intake manifold bolt. Let's remove some vacuum lines and connectors from the manifold. Right after, we remove the fuel rail from the intake. Now we're removing the intake. And we got it out after a few minutes. And here's our culprit, the PCV or positive crankcase ventilation valve. I think we have our issue here. That is the old one. You need to blow in here, and if some air is coming out on the other side, it is broken basically. And you can hear it's clogged. This here is the new one. You can hear it's like something's loose in here, and if you apply some pressure here, doesn't matter how small the pressure is, it stays close. Just wanted to make sure that these are exactly the same ones, and they are. So let's put in the new one. Bye bye old one. The PCV valve sends gases that slip past the pistons back into the engine to be burned. Without it, the engine would have too much pressure inside, causing leaks or oil consumption. Last thing I want to do is to replace these gaskets here. The intake manifold gaskets. They are so brittle. They are done. So much better. To be honest, this car seems like it didn't get much love in its life. So we need to treat it even more. Okay. Let's take a look what happened with my E39. We now drove about 1000 kilometers with this BMW E39. The last time we drove it, suddenly steam was coming out of the engine bay. As soon as we drove in here, I opened the hood and immediately saw from where it came. Back to the master PCV repair. Let's finish it. Put on the fuel rail and bolt it up. If you enjoyed the video so far, please subscribe, because by doing that you'll help me making better videos. And on goes the plenum. Done. After connecting the battery again, I wanted to test our work. So let's start the engine. Now the car smokes white, but it looks like there's a lot of condensed water in the exhaust. Yep, just water. And now we're going to take a look at the oil level, because we drove about 200 kilometers. It actually should be fine, I guess, but I'll keep you updated.
Back to the E39.
Here's a little bit of oil puddle, which is dripping down here and then dripping directly onto the headers, and maybe something can catch on fire. Since I now drove about 1000 kilometers with this car and I am planning to drive a lot of more kilometers with it, I don't want it to burn down. So let's fix this.
First, remove the covers.
Now let's remove the coil packs. You can see some oil, and also here in the back, and it just drips down here and goes to the headers, unfortunately. Let's remove this puppy here.
But before we can do that, we need to remove the harness for the coil packs and 2 small ground straps. Now we can start to remove all the bolts, or to be precise, the nuts that hold on the valve cover.
Fixing something in the sun isn't the best option.
Well, it is getting hot here in Austria, and out the valve cover goes.
I think this engine got serviced pretty good, and you can see the color looks pretty fine. Okay, I'm going to close the hood so that nothing can get in here.
Preparing the cover for the new gasket. At first cleaning, then taking out the old gaskets. More cleaning and blowing. I know it's weird, but the new gaskets had some white flakes on it, so we needed to clean it before installing. Last step, install the new gasket and make sure it stays in place with 4 cable ties.
So, now let's prepare the car.
Again, cleaning the surface where the gaskets sit.
So the car is now prepared, and we are going to put on some RTV here in the half moons.
Not much, but just a little bit to help the gasket to seal better.
This is perfect.
We are also putting on a thin layer on the spark plug wells. On it is. Let's just screw on all the nuts. Make sure you'll stick till the end, because we are going to prove ChatGPT wrong. After cleaning, there only were the coil packs and the wiring left. We need to wait for the RTV to dry, so back to the headlights of the Master. And to be honest, at the moment they are looking worse. They are so cloudy. But we are going to change that in a moment.
I'm just a bit dumb. And now we are pouring in some fluid.
It's blue.
Plug the device in and wait for 4 minutes. And now, watch this. This is like magic, I don't know. This is so satisfying right now. I think you have done a great job, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks quite fine.
This looks
At least
so good.
I should have polished your glasses.
Yeah, you should have polished mine, because I have a few scratches in it.
I know. Actually, I'm quite looking forward to the other side, because I'm not sure if that one is also that nice.
You can look at this, and then this here.
Looks amazing now. Back to the E39.
So before I'm putting on all of the covers, I'm quickly going to take a look whether something is leaking or not. No oil leaks so far.
Even after 300 kilometers, there is no oil leak. Another successful repair.
Next up, we need to fill up the gearbox because it leaked a lot of oil over the course of the last year. And hopefully then the gearbox feels normal again, because the gears won't go in as smoothly as in the beginning. So let's pop the screw here. Yes. Well, this is interesting. Take a look at here. I think this was a gasket ring. Interesting. So we have some gearbox oil here, and I don't know how you call it, but I know it is for flowers actually. I haven't learned all of that. Gearbox oil just smells disgusting. Okay, let's pump. Yep, there was definitely something missing here. And how you've been doing?
Fine.
Perfect. Now we have enough. Like that. Then directly put this in here. That wasn't supposed to happen. And put it in. And this time I'm not dropping my bolt. I mean bolt, not ball. Finished!
My clutch feels weird, so I decided to remove the clutch delay valve. The purpose of it is to slow down the clutch engagement, but many people say that this is the culprit for a weird clutch. It's just as simple as removing it from the slave cylinder and then bleed the clutch. But over the last 2 days I have tried to bleed the clutch, but I couldn't get a firm clutch pedal. Somebody did a video on YouTube showing how to bleed a BMW clutch when nothing else works.
You need to remove this thing here from the gearbox, let it connect it to this line here, and just push the pin in and bleed it with this bleeding nipple. Well, I have done that. Then I wanted to open the hood, and I thought, why not press on the clutch pedal a few times? And this was pretty dumb.
We are going to fix another problem first.
The steering wheel isn't straight when we are driving, and I don't want to ruin the new tires. So we are trying to align the car once more. Let's try it. So we now have a measurement device at the front and a second one on the back here. So with these two devices we can make sure we are putting a straight line across the car, and then we can align the front tires.
So let's make sure our string holder devices are in the correct place. Now we're putting on a cord with some tension. Now we're making sure that the strings have the same spacing to the wheels on all four corners. Now we're measuring the gaps between the front of the rim to the string and the rear of the rim to the string. These gaps have to be the same. If not, we are adjusting the tie rods accordingly. And after 1 hour, I think we've made it. Back to the clutch repair.
Right when I pressed on the clutch pedal, this pin here and also this thing in here removed itself. Like on my E46.
Nevertheless, we might had an issue with the slave cylinder before, because
with this bleeding nipple I have fully tightened it, but I could feel some pressure in this bottle here. So every time when my girlfriend pressed the clutch pedal, this bottle did that. I have a replacement part for that. Here, let's install this one here.
and hopefully this time I'm able to drive this car home. So connect the clutch line, bolt it up to the tranny and bleed the clutch.
Hopefully after half an hour I have led the system properly. We are going to try now. I'm going to let the car down and then we're trying to put it in gear. The clutch feels so much better now. It just feels so much more predictable and also better. Like there's no air in the system anymore and I can really feel the bite point now. So the thing is, I don't know why the old slave cylinder was broken, but it was definitely broken.
As I mentioned before, it is getting hot in Austria. So what is the most important feature of a car when it's hot? The AC. But at the moment it isn't working. So we need to fix it. When I swapped the engine, I removed the belt of the AC compressor. So let's try to put it on and maybe we have some luck. But I highly doubt that because the car sat for 7 years in I don't know where.
So we are going to try the AC and see if it works.
Even ChatGPT thinks it will not work.
And now it's on. I think it is getting cooler. The AC! It works! For a car that stood like 7 years, that is amazing. Normally this wouldn't work on a car like that, but it is getting cold in here. The alignment from the wheels, I think we did a great job, but the steering wheel isn't straight, so we need to figure something out in the next video. But the wheel isn't shaking anymore.
All the repairs in this video were a great success and we even proved AI to be wrong.